managing 10,000 people, I made the mistake, and that's where I really learned it. I had a table of mini-me's. So I didn't have a minute to breathe. I need this, I need that. Can you do that? Can you call this one? Can you do that? We were rocking it and getting work done, but boy, were they hard to manage.
Welcome to Get Curious. I'm your host, JL Palmer. Join me as I explore my curiosity about our guest. The inventor of the Ilene pan, the author of Managing Annoying People, a lady who has a giant golden doodle named Beauregard and does collage. Ilene Marcus solves everyday challenges with bold ideas and a sense of humor. With MSW and MPA degrees from Columbia University, she's managed over 10,000 employees across not-for-profits and government. Ilene, who now writes, speaks, and creates from the Berkshires. Ilene Marcus, welcome to Get Curious. It's so nice to meet you.
So nice to be curious and to be here.
Lady, I can't even tell you. I don't know where to start. I am so curious about you. So many different things. The Ilene pan, the fact that you worked for Rudy, your giant doodle Beauregard. I mean, where your books, how do you come up with a book title? Managing Annoying People. Like, there's so much to talk about. Where would you like to start?
I think I'd like to start right there. You said there's so many things you want to talk about, and I'm like, what am I, see here, after accomplishing so much, I'm still like, what am I doing with my life? And what is my path? And what am I supposed to be doing? So I think that that's a big part of my message, right? Like one thing leads to the next, and you kind of find out what you're supposed to be doing by if you actually want to be doing it or not, I guess you could say. The Ilene pan is the latest iteration of that it just kind of happened because I had a crooked stove and I was cooking on it. And then I realized I'm a problem solver. I'm going to cook the thick chicken cutlets to the flame and the thinner ones up and the onions closer to the flame and the zucchini not. And then I got a new stove and I was like, I need that crooked stove back, but that wasn't an option. So I made a pan. So I think what I'm trying to say is, our lives don't always give us what we want or what we need. And like you can zoom out and say, wow, look at all the stuff she's done. But I still struggle with what am I doing? What's my legacy? Who am I impacting? And where am I going in this world? So that's a little bit about me. I'm a little lost right now.
I love that. That is so raw and honest. Thank you very much. And being that we talked about your pan, is there a favorite dish you like to cook in it?
I'm a big stuffer girl. I eat a lot of grilled chicken. So anything I could put with grilled chicken, tomatoes, onions, zucchini, broccoli, onions, everything has onions in my life. Yeah, just, things that kind of nourish you. I was talking today about someone, I'm getting old. We're talking about the food pyramid, how it used to be like all those grains on the bottom, and now it's like protein, protein, protein. So just throw a lot of protein in there, tofu, lean beef, chicken, and I'm good.
How are you finding the building a product and bringing it to market adventure?
That is a really good question because everybody sees Shark Tank and they're like, oh, go on Shark Tank. Shark Tank is almost at this point, if you know about a funnel and getting into sales, Shark Tank is almost at like the thinnest part of the funnel now, right? There's so many steps that have to happen before. You have to have an idea, you have to test it, you have to figure out how to build it, you have to figure out who your audience is, you have to figure out, what the problem is that you're solving, not your solution. Who exactly is it going to speak to? And building it for me was very hard. I live in a place where there was not a lot of help. Really, I live in Western Massachusetts. They're really trying to have an entrepreneurial economy, but I was really on my own to find fabricators and people that could put this product together for me and to fight against the naysayers. So it's really difficult. I tell entrepreneurs, as hard as you think it is, it's harder than that because there's no path. That's really the thing about being an entrepreneur. You're going off road with something that someone probably hasn't done before, or if they did it before, you're trying a new angle to make it different. So there's no playbook. It's all your gut, your head, and your heart, and how you move forward.
You know what? This just ties into a piece in your book where you talked about time and planning. Now, what caught me was where you said treat your time like a mama bear treats a baby. And then you also talked about the failing to plan. If you don't have a plan, you're failing. I don't have eloquent words for the way you wrote it because you did a very great job there, but how has that played into what you're going through and what you have gone through?
That is such a good insight, JL, because I have had to really learn to close doors on people. That's lovely, but I don't have time for you now. Or, people that want to go down a rabbit hole with me and ask 48 questions and they're never going to help me. And I really built my early career on really, I'm a social worker, listening to people, empowering people. And I really say now, no, thank you. I can't do that. No, thank you. I can't have that conversation. No, thank you. I don't have 15 minutes. And that has been really, really hard. But I think it's one of the best lessons I have learned, that I really have to. Time is, the one thing that you cannot make more of. And it is the thing that I have to be brutally honest about. Is this person helping to build me up? Are they building me down, or are they just helping me go in circles? And I have found that I have had a lot of people in my life that either, had a vested interest for whatever reason, that's why I attracted, breaking me down or just going in circles. So it's been really interesting to really focus on people who want to move me forward, get me out of the loop, and really help me achieve something.
With everything that you've shared, it's been really hard to have a plan to bring this to market.
Yes, it has. I've won a few competitions, which is very exciting. I won the Blocks, which is an entrepreneurial live-in show by a guy named Wes Bergman. I came in second on season 21 of the Blocks. The Story Exchange named me one of the top 15 brilliant business-led women bold ideas this year. So it's a website. They're a publishing house, lifestyle magazine. So the Story Exchange put me on their list of 2026 15 brilliant business ideas from bold women. So that was exciting.
Now, are they linking it so that you can purchase the pan through their site?
Yes, they did. They linked it to my website so you could purchase. So I have that going. The real thing is the timing, getting the supply chain and the advertising, because I do have some interest, from some big retailers, but I have to really build the supply chain, and I don't want to invest a lot of money until I know it's really going to go. So it's like a chicken and egg problem. And all I can do is put one foot in front of the other every day, work on my packaging, refine my SEO and my AEO, talk to local retailers, and really, I'm starting the process to be fulfilled by Amazon, which is a whole nother process where you have to get trademarked. So yeah, it's a steep hill, little step every day, you get closer.
Well, for places that aren't Australia, Father's Day is coming because I guess they celebrate in September versus June. You can buy the Eileen pan for dad off of the Eileen pan website. So
ILEAN-pan.com.
I will link the awards as well and
Thank
make
you.
sure that, anybody who wants to pick up this pan, be it for dad for Father's Day or
Well,
any
that
other
would be great.
gift to a cook in your life. I believe my mom might actually really enjoy this pan. So,
You
and
know,
Christmas is not that far off. I don't know about you, this year has just disappeared.
I heard a line that I cannot get out of my head, which is, as you get older, life is like a roll of toilet paper. It goes faster at the end.
That's really funny, but it's
It
true.
is. Well, yeah, and I want to tell you a story. So, I did do a Kickstarter, which is, it's a way of introducing the pan to innovators and people that want to early on support you, so you can get testimonials. My niece bought one, and then I got a text from them in a group chat that said, "Oh, we love it. We cook chicken all the time. We didn't think we could get any more fat out of it, but the way the pan cooked, the fat came out." And I said, "Oh my God." Jackie, who's my niece, I said, "Jackie, that's so great." And I got a text back, "This is Brent. Why are you so sexist about cooking?" So it was actually my nephew that was cooking, not my niece. It was pretty funny.
Oh, I love that. I have a friend that likes to cook as well. And between the sourdough that he makes and my mom makes, it's just
Mm.
like, oh, just please do not. Men are great in the kitchen if they choose to embrace it.
Yes, exactly.
So I want to talk about your book, Managing Annoying People. That's one book you have out, but you have another book coming out that is called Managing Annoying Me. And
Yes.
I really did get the message when I read your book that there is a big part of the managing me in all of this.
You got it. I mean, the only thing we can control really is what comes out of our mouth sometimes, That's it.
And we don't always do a very good job of it.
Well, a lot of people ask me, where did you get the inspiration for the book? Like you said, what was the title? And I said, I had to look at my own life. I was annoying. I didn't understand it. I was a superstar. I was competent. People liked me and valued me, but I didn't always get what I needed. I didn't always get there's a word, covet. I didn't always get the attention or the acclamations I wanted from my boss. And I, started to do a deep dive and what might I be doing? And I realized I was way too much. I was in their face. I wanted this. I wanted that. I needed to have an answer quickly, which was really good for the business. But when someone's in charge of a large enterprise, it can drive them crazy. And then when I started managing 10,000 people, I made the mistake, and that's where I really learned it. I had a table of mini me's. So I didn't have a minute to breathe. I need this. I need that. Can you do that? Can you call this one? Can you do that? We were rocking it and getting work done, but boy, were they hard to manage. Not because they were incompetent, not because they were nasty, because they were so superstar. They always needed stuff from me, and I had to manage all them. So that's how I came up with it. And that's what it's really about. Like, even when you're a raving star, how do you take your behavior so other people can hear you and can help you and can, move to the finish line?
And I read the foreword that
Mm.
Rudy, and I say Rudy because I mean, online everybody talks about Rudy, but working for the mayor of New York and having him write the foreword for your book. What
Mm.
do you have to say
Yeah.
on that?
Well, I have to say that was a very, very special time in my life. That was 6 years of incredible learning and being really a player in a very important city that I love and really changing something. We forget now with everything that's happened over the last few words with Giuliani's reputation that he was the first mayor that, he was the nation's mayor. He turned the city around after several years of really bad crime and press and companies leaving. And he had three priorities when he came into office. It was economic development, police, and getting people off welfare. And I was his third priority. So I was really blessed to learn from him, to be around the table, to see how to move things quickly. And he really, really cared about that city. He cared about his staff. He gave us the resources we needed. And, it was just one of the best experiences of my life to work for someone who was so dedicated and really focused on what needed to get done and kept that focus there as long as he could.
That's so beautiful and such a big city to deal with.
I was a social worker, and a lot of my friends were very mad when I went to work for Giuliani. He was the Republican candidate, but the platform was that at that point, every 1 in 5 person was in welfare. And if you know anything about municipal finance, you know that that means that those people are not paying taxes, and that is a huge drain on the budget. So to the extent that you can't put more money in arts, you can't put more money in, infrastructure, you can't put more money in police because welfare was a mandated expense and we had to spend it. So the fact that we were reducing the welfare rolls to get the truly deserving people that, weren't cheating the system, we found a lot of cheats. We were getting the truly deserving people on the system. And then the people that were left, we were really helping with either their medical needs or their job training needs. And, when I started that job, there were about 1.1 million people on welfare. 6 years later, there was about 600,000. And that number has not changed now over the last 15 years. It's really, we got to the right amount of people that need the safety net, not people that were cheating or using it because it was easy. So I think that's an incredible accomplishment.
Incredible. I don't, is there anywhere else that has managed to accomplish something that big? I mean, almost by half.
Yeah, almost by half. It really, New York is a very rare place, meaning that especially when, we were doing this in, early 2000, if you were a welfare recipient, in the city, you could jump the turnstile on the subway and get to 4 or 5 welfare offices in one day. And there's something that was called an emergency need. So if you walked in and said, I need help, under government, under law, we had to give you emergency rent, emergency food. So you were getting $400 or $500, by stopping at 4 welfare offices a day. One of the things we put in was a automated finger imaging system. It was kind of the first technology, which is actually how I got into being an entrepreneur and stuff, because it wasn't used in government at that time. It was not a fingerprint. It was 2 fingers, just your 2 digital fingers, your 2, I guess we call them index fingers. And people would come in and say, I don't have my license, I lost my card. And now we could identify them and see where they were and not give them duplicative benefits. So that made a huge change in reducing the welfare rolls. And that was fair, right? People shouldn't be taking advantage of the system. We also had a lot of people who were living in New Jersey and outside of in Long Island and in Westchester. And we started making home visits and seeing that they were not at these apartments and that is not where they lived. So these were not people who were truly deserving of the tax money and the help we were giving them. And that's what happened. And I don't know if that was as rampant in other cities as it was here because of the transportation system in New York and how simple it was, that it was very easy for people to double dip and get benefits. And then also when people once got on benefits, maybe those people that lived in New Jersey or, Westchester at one point were eligible, but they were never actually researched and recertified and their case closed. So that's the other action we took. So yeah, it was really incredible and really very much, I think financially very fair.
So many safeguards that were put in place. I'm pretty sure it was used as a model for other programs.
Yes, it really was. We actually started modeling from Westchester, but we did it on a much bigger scale. And then we modeled the jobs from something that was done in Riverside, California. But it was the same time. It was a really heady time. Like I said, we were writing the welfare legislation about work participation, in the Clinton administration. So we were really changing national policy that still exists today. So that was a really exciting time.
So exciting. Like, it's just great to hear you tell the stories.
Found sponsorship opportunity right here. If you haven't considered advertising via podcasts, connect with JL Palmer today and find out how. Are you our next sponsor? Do you have a product or service needing promotion? Is this your ad spot? Consider advertising via podcasts. Sponsor the Get Curious podcast. For more details, email JLPalmerConsulting at gmail.com.
But we were talking about this whole concept of, because, you'll notice again, the parks are dirtier. I'm not sure where you live, but, there's more traffic. Not more traffic, more dirt on the side of the highways. For a while, we were really using the welfare population and and people who were on probation or were doing community service to clean stuff up. And the cities looked a lot better. That has fallen off because advocates say you can't make them work for cheap and this and that. And there's been a few lawsuits. But the interesting thing is, I remember the stories of, I used to have to go, and it was a lot of men. And I used to have to say, you're going to have to work. Why do I have to work? My friend didn't work. That's not how welfare works, this and that. And I had to explain to them that, when you take welfare, you're taking my tax dollars. It's not government paying. It's your neighbor that goes to work that pays for you because it's tax dollars. And I said, but here's the thing. If you want to work and you find what you like, I'm going to give you something no one else, you don't have. And that's a reference. I'm going to tell people that you showed up for work, that you were good at it, and this is the job you did. And that is going to really help you in the world. So I think a lot of people really did get off of welfare through that too. They just never really had an opportunity where someone gave them a job, let them do it, and then really stood up to the plate and referenced for them. So yeah, it was really a special time.
References are huge too, so that's a great motivator.
Yes, exactly. Especially if you don't exist in a world where you know people that work, right? Or you want to get into a field where you don't know people.
Exactly. Well, on a lighter note, how about if we talk about your giant golden doodle?
This dog, so I vowed I would never have a dog again, right? Never again. I lived in the city, I had little Shih Tzus, and I said, never again. If you're a dog lover, it's heartbreaking. So I end up doing everything backwards. I get a boyfriend, then I get the dog, then I get the plant. They say, if you can keep a plant alive, get an animal. If you keep the animal alive, get the boyfriend. The only thing, well, Beauregard's still alive, thank God. So he was a gift from a guy I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. We didn't, but now Beauregard just turned 5 last week. And this dog has so much personality. He like rides on top of the car like he's Snoopy with his head, out the window, all around town. He's just really a very good special dog.
Yeah, I have an older dog right now. She's 14, and let me tell you, it is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I've never lost a pet before, and I'm going through the palliative stages. And
Oh,
sometimes she won't eat if her medication runs out, and then there's pain, and then you have to wait for the medication so she can go for a walk, and we don't do the stairs, and it is, oh, it's so
well,
hard. But the love they give us over the years, my gosh.
yeah. Well, and the hardest thing about what you're going through is you can't explain it to them. It's like dealing with a child that you can't explain why they're in pain or what's going on. But I have to say to you, it's not the only, like you saved each other. It's not only the love you gave them, it's reciprocal. And, being a pet owner really does, I think, make us a better person, makes us more aware of everything around us.
Oh, so true. And then there's two cats too. I mean, so this is, I'm insane.
No, that's not so bad. Only 2. I've seen worse, believe me.
Oh, I'm not the cat lady, so we're good there.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry you're going through that, but I just remember every day you do everything you can for that pet and you love them and that's all you can do. And I'm really reminded lately that the gift is in the now, right? The time you're spending with them now, not what'll happen in the future, not what we don't know right now.
Well, and the what I'm learning, the what we don't know, especially when it comes to something like losing a pet,
Mm,
creates what we call anticipatory grief. I had
yeah.
never heard of this before.
I think anticipatory, I always say one of the smartest songs ever was that Carly Simon Anticipation, right? It
Mm.
is one of the most, well, and her and Tom Petty, The Waiting is the Hardest Part, right? Put those two together. And that is really, talk about managing yourself and being annoying. That is really the gist of life, right? When you don't know what's going to happen, how do you have faith? How do you believe it's going to turn out? How do you believe you're going to have the wherewithal to handle it? And how do you sit in the discomfort? And, the anticipatory worrying, failure, but I'm saying, like, try not to live there. Live right now that that dog is in your arms and right with you,
Yeah,
right in the
I've
moment.
talked myself out of so many moments, but it is an extremely good skill to learn. It'd be nice if you didn't have to learn it in this way. But
Yeah,
learn how
exactly.
we learn.
Well, that's also, but that's also the fearing, I'm getting much older and I so everything's what people say is true. I'm going to more funerals, more people that you thought you'd see again, you're never seeing again. And I have definitely over the years definitely believed now it is better to love than lost than never loved at all. because even though I'm so sad, I'm really starting to learn that these people that in the last few years that I've slowed down, they're a part of me and I know who they are. And even though they're not here, I know their voice, I know what they say. When I see something that reminds me of them, it's a smile. And I'm really looking at it like the gift they gave me, not what I lost. And I want, because that's how I want people to think about me when I'm gone, right? And that's how I want people to think about my book after they read it. And that's how I want people to think about my pan after they use it. Oh, how much fun that was, or what different. So I'm really, really in this phase of trying to just really focus on, that the people who came before us or the pets that we lost, they're really here to lift us up and remind us, that we have more to do and we have to spread that joy forward.
You brought up a couple of great songs, and that is such a wonderful thing that you shared right there. That I can always see somebody and know that they're with me, that's very close to me or was very close to me. Whenever the Eagles come on, Dad is right there. He used to play tunes on his guitar that were
Mm.
from the Eagles, and they seem to be his favorites. So, yep, music and loved ones and pets, and oh my gosh.
Yeah, powerful reminders of the power of those things instead of what was taken from us, that they still exist. And I'm sure like an Eagles song comes on like when you most need it and you're like, "Oh, how did that happen?" But that's the way the world works when we're open to it.
Right? So now with your collaging, I'm curious, the power of creativity. Let's go here, Eileen.
Well, if anybody knows what collaging is, and I will paraphrase my 31-year-old daughter. So basically, Ma, you're cutting out pictures from magazines and pasting them on paper. Is that what you're doing? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. But as you get older, the power of looking at what speaks to you and then how you arrange it. And for me, the hardest part is the power of simplicity. I want to put everything on the page. One of the first pieces I did that has been in several shows and people love it. It's called About Everything. And I just cut out like my old dog tags, my dog's rabies. I put, 3D collage. So it's kind of lifted from the page collage. And sometimes you can't tell what's paper or mixed media. I put pictures of everything like a junkyard in there because that's how, that's how we want. I don't know about you, but I want to hold on to everything. And as I've gotten into the creativity and am so surprised by what I reach for, like what colors or what pictures or what speaks to me or what kind of comes out on the page. It's really been about restraint and about less is more. And that is something that I'm really trying to learn as I get older. Less is more. I don't need everything around me. So the collaging's been quite fun and quite different.
And it makes sense. I mean, less is more for sure. Collaging too, reminds me the way you kind of explained it, like vision boarding.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is a lot like vision boarding. And just so you know, Instagram, there's something called the Paris Collage Club, and they put out a challenge, and then you do it, and then everybody does the same thing, and they post them. Like they start with the same base image, and you see what they do differently. So there's also a big community about it around the world, but it is very much about like what's in my mind, what am I working out, where do I want to go, what feeling do I want to have, and like I said, my daughter says, yeah, Ma, a glue stick and scissors, that's high art. It really is, and you're honoring other people's art, the pictures they took, the fabrics they created. It's really quite a nice, let's call it a sport, very nice sport.
Look, I'm going to be checking it out.
Yeah,
Paris.
Paris Collage, look at them on Instagram. They're great.
Okay. Yeah, I have a whole spare room that could totally use that club.
Oh, so good.
All right. So, Eileen, with a few minutes left to share, is there anything else you would like to give listeners today?
I think, I just like to say, first, I want to thank JL because I, I love that we just talked and had a conversation, that's what life is, one day at a time, even when you don't know where you're going. It's a conversation with someone that leaves you with a smile and a little joy. So I just really want to thank you for that. And I hope our listeners got the same thing.
Oh, thank you very much. I really enjoyed learning more about you. You did satisfy a lot of my curiosities and way more. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I know you want to get to know our guests better. I definitely will be. If you'd like help with your podcast or you'd like to be my next guest, check out the show notes for details on how to get signed up with PodMatch. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and keep growing.